Hi, this is Randy Randall of No Age and host of the podcast Hyphenate with Randy Randall. I want to welcome our newest sponsor of the show, DistroKid. DistroKid helps musicians get their music on all the major streaming platforms, and artists keep 100% of their royalties. Hyphenate listeners get 30% off at distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate. Again, that's distrokid.com/VIP/HYPHENATE. Go get your music streaming everywhere now.
We were basically like, you have to be our drummer now. Like, we're stuck in this house.
What's happening? Thanks so much for tuning in to Hyphenate Halftime, or leaving it on your podcatcher preference. It is Thursday, August 1st. That's it. August is here. Summer has just flown by. On today's show, I have the very cool band Golomb from Columbus, Ohio. They just recently played the Nelsonville Music Festival at the Campground stage on 7/25. They also recently just played Chicago. We did the interview before they played Chicago, but in terms of when this episode has come out, they just played that last weekend, 7/27 at the Suburban. There's Subterranean. But they have shows coming up. If you are in the Philadelphia area and you want to go see them, I don't know what day that is, but it's August 10th. It's 10 days from now in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. You can go to FOTO Club. That's FOTO Club, and go see this very cool band Golomb. And even better, if you were in the New York area on the very next day, 8/11, you can go see Golomb at the Broadway in New York City. Would that ad for Pace Picante salsa still fly today? Could you do that? It was like a bunch of cowboys standing around, and what did somebody say? Somebody said something, and it was like, they said they're from New York City, I guess. And another cowboy would say, "Get a rope." It was basically it. So this salsa was so good and so authentic. And really, Pace Picante salsa is not good. Is it still out there? I feel it was a big thing in the 90s in Costco. Costco Pace Picante salsa. It's kind of more like tomato sauce, or like marinara sauce or something that you would dip your chips in. Very popular for a long time. And these ads were everywhere. And it was always, "Get a rope." Like they were going to hang this guy for being from New York City because his salsa wasn't as authentic as their crappy Costco bulk marinara sauce salsa. I don't know. I don't think that'd fly today. I don't think you could threaten to kill people over their salsa. I don't know. Maybe they can. I don't know. Regardless, Golomb is here on the podcast. Mickey and Xenia. They are a married couple. And Xenia plays bass, Mickey plays guitar, and they tell the story of how they've recruited Xenia's younger brother to be the drummer. So when I first heard the band, I thought, oh, they sound awesome. Kind of sounds like Sonic Youth, kind of noisy, melodic, but, kind of fucked up in a good way. And then I was reading a little bit about them, and I was like, wait, it's a brother, sister, husband, and wife duo act. I was like, oh, wait a second. But then I looked, and there was 3 of them. I was like, okay. So somebody's brothers and sisters, and somebody's married. And I'm assuming the brother and sister were not the ones that were married, which was the correct assumption. But I'm sure this will be a source of conversation later in this interview. All right. Well, yeah, let's jump into the interview. Thank you, DistroKid. Thank you, Audioscape Engineering. Thank you, Ruinous Media. Thank you, the listener, listening at home. Did you know I'm not only a podcast host, but also a podcast listener? I listen to many podcasts. I would like to know what you listen to on podcasts. You can write me at hyphenatehalftime@gmail.com. Tell me what podcasts you listen to. I'm curious what the people that listen to this podcast, what other podcasts they listen to. Or if you're looking for recommendations, let me know too. I can recommend a couple that I like. But I'm curious. Yeah, what do you like? What else do you like to listen to? Tell me some podcasts. I feel like that's the best way to find out about a podcast is someone telling you about it versus getting the snippets or the clips. I get it's hard to market a new podcast, but I love when somebody goes, oh, this podcast, you love this podcast. I remember years ago when a friend told me like, oh, that Joe Rogan, you got to listen to his podcast. And I was like, really? Isn't he like a weird like MMA fighting dickhead? And they said, oh, it's funny. This is before he went to satellite radio or moved to Austin. And I don't know. I remember it, but I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. I'll listen to an episode. And I was just shocked how long he went on for. I mean, he has like 4-hour podcast, or maybe he did back then. I've not listened to him for a little while. Things kind of got weird in the Trump world. It sort of seemed like he had kind of this like stoner, kind of checked out conspiracy guy sort of thing. And then it just seemed the political world just kind of swirled around him in a whole different other kind of way. And it seemed like the vibe changed a little bit. I don't know when this was, 10 years ago. All right. Well, but if that's what you listen to, let me know. Write me at hyphenate halftime@gmail.com and let me know who you're listening to. But now we'll be listening to Golomb. Oh, go find them too online. Don't forget, go look for them. It's Golomb is the name of the band. They're on the Instagrams. They're on the Bandcamps. They, golomb.bandcamp.com. You got those there. You can go listen to their records, go see the tour dates. They're on the Facebooks. They're on all these things. They got other interviews out there. Just Google Golomb, Golomb band. And that should get you to the vibe of what's happening in Columbus, Ohio. But if you'd like to know more, here they are to tell you about that themselves. Hey, Mickey and Xenia, thank you so much for joining me on Hyphenate. How's it going?
Going well.
Going well, yeah.
Awesome. You guys said you're on vacation. Where are you guys at?
My family has a cottage up in Western New York on Lake Erie, so we're up there for a couple of
might be able to see
for a couple of days. Yeah, we got a nice lake view.
Oh, how awesome is that? That's super cool. And then is that near Erie, Pennsylvania? I mean, trying to think how far up it was. Like, yeah,
kind of in between Erie and Buffalo. So
Buffalo, okay.
Yeah.
Super cool. Yeah, my wife's family is originally from Erie, and her mom and dad met there, and then she was born in State College, and then they moved around to Kentucky.
Incredible chocolate chip cookie in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Really? What's it called? Let's give a shout out.
It's called
the Erie Food Co-op.
Erie Food Co-op.
Yeah, they have a
top tier chocolate chip cookie.
Ooh, that sounds good. Have you guys played shows in Erie?
Mm-mm.
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I visited. It was a couple of years back, and we went to Waldemere, like the big park. It was like a big kind of like theme park or like roller coaster thing.
We're about 45 minutes north?
Yeah, like down 90, about 45 minutes from Erie.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I've mostly just passed through those areas on tour, right? But it's always fun. But you guys are based in Columbus, Ohio, is that right?
Yes.
Columbus, yeah.
Nice. How are things in Columbus?
Columbus is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like I think it's a funny time in Columbus because it's like used to be kind of a small city and then now it's growing a lot. And I'd say it's kind of having like an adjustment period. It's kind of funny the way it is right now, but it's definitely growing really fast.
So more people, more businesses, just kind of more of everything, and a little bit of traffic and crowdedness that didn't used to be there.
Yeah, but it also seems like it isn't as like grounded as it maybe seems like it was back in the day.
More condos, definitely more condos.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just that sort of thing's happening to it. That seems to be happening everywhere, but
I'm familiar with the condofication.
Yes, but it's also very much a college town that's like glorified into almost a big city, but at its root, it's like a college town. And so I think it used to sort of feel like that a little more, and now it's kind of like disguised with like fancy looking things, but it actually is still a college town.
More expensive coffee. The coffee is more expensive, more artisanal.
Yeah.
I've tried that. Yeah, I think I had a good chocolate chip cookie in Columbus. There was a vegan kind of bakery, Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
gotta
mean
get
chocolate
that.
chip cookie.
That was really good. I like this as the theme of the podcast.
Yeah,
I-
that's basically the theme of Mickey's life. Is
I
It's mostly
actually,
chocolate
this
chip cookies.
morning I had the talk with Xenia. I was like, I think I gotta like cool it on the sugar. I had like 6 chocolate chip cookies yesterday, so
my aunt.
Oh, as you're on vacation.
chocolate chip cookies.
it's an issue. It's a problem.
That's amazing. Yeah, I have a really good recipe for a vegan chocolate chip cookie that my kids ask me to make all the time. I'll get special requests like, Dad, can you make the cookies? Can we do it? I'm like, sure. It only takes 10 minutes.
Yeah, I have
really-
those
I've
cookies
made it-
too, except for it's just Mickey. Like, can you make the cookies?
Can you do it? Can you do it? Like, sure. It doesn't take that long
I
to
eat
do it.
cookies like a bunch of children.
Yeah.
Yes. Multiple children rolled into one.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've always liked Columbus. I think we've come through on tour, and it wasn't like a city we'd get to every tour, but the band Times New Viking were from Columbus, and I remember we
Yeah.
played a bunch of shows with them and Adam. And
They're really cool.
Yeah, the 90s music scene in Columbus seemed like it was really, really good. My parents were in bands, still are, but were really like in that scene. And
cool.
It just seemed like all their friends were in bands. All the bands were good. Like it was just super, super vibrant.
But, like Times New Viking was like 2000s, but
they were,
but
were
it seemed
definitely
like
the
that was
high,
like catching the tail end of like all the cool Columbus stuff that was going on.
and they kind of were able to like break out in a way that different, that was a little bit bigger than some other bands. But
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, we played a I want to say we played like an art institute or art museum. It sounds like is there
Wexner,
something like
maybe?
that sounds right.
Wexner
Yeah.
Center.
It's like a part of OSU, and it's they have a big kind of like
It was a big building.
yeah,
like
it
was
kind
probably
of
the
a concert.
Wexner Center.
It's not exactly like a venue. It's kind of a funny room.
Yeah.
It's like a concert hall, but without any seats.
Where you set up on the stage.
Sounds right. I can't even remember. Maybe, yeah, it sounds right. It felt very collegey. Like the green room is nice. Like they could have like acting performances there. It's one of those kinds of things.
Yeah, it was definitely the Wexner. Then that.
Okay.
Yeah, they have. I saw Yola Tango there. High school,
awesome.
and it was really cool. It was awesome.
Yeah, it seems like a cool spot. But yeah, I'm trying to think of like what are the like venues you guys play in town? Like what's it like now? I mean, it's
I would say
so far removed.
We play at Bourbon Street, probably the most.
Cafe Bourbon Street, which is like kind of like the small kind of like bands our size come through and usually hit that. Then there's a place called Ace of Cups. We like playing a lot.
That sounds super familiar.
I feel like that is often times like where a little bit bigger bands will come through and play, but it still feels very intimate. And another place called Rumba Cafe. I feel like Ace of Cups and Rumba are kind of like the spots that like cool touring bands will come through and hit. And then Bourbon Street's kind of like the stomping grounds. Like
it's very much like the local scene.
Make a big
feels.
screen,
I did, but then it kind of was cutting off your face, and it was a little funny. But
well, it's okay. My face is.
I think my glasses are fogging.
I think I'm still.
Oh,
in
here we
it,
go.
Okay.
Sorry. Technologically challenged.
No.
Yeah, but I would say those are kind of like the three main ones I feel like that we play at.
Yeah.
In Columbus.
And Bourbon Street has very much kind of become like the heart of the local scene.
Yeah.
In a way, it's
That's awesome. What it's like a cafe, like a coffee.
No, it's like a shit bar.
It's
but it's kind of awesome.
It's like a. Yeah, it's like,
but it's like it's
a little divey. Yeah. There is food, but it's not coffee. It's like it's.
But
I don't know why it's called that. Actually,
I don't know either.
It's definitely not a cafe.
It's been there a long time though, I think, and it's been through multiple owners and different food occupying the space. Yeah. And right now,
R.I.P. Taco
our
Ninja.
friend Chris, who's in a band called Dana. And his partner Madeline, who's also in Dana, but I think Chris does a majority of the booking there, and he's really very active with it and has been sort of making more of an effort than he's just been making an effort to really like kind of keep it moving and keep the scene feeling like fresh and good and active.
And kind of give the DIY type bands like a place to play that's not like a basement, which is cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's always good to have those kind of places. I mean, I feel like, over the years,
and
like
people,
right. Just that support and like, hey, we have a room, we have a PA, we can do this.
Yeah. And he's real good at, I feel like he always makes sure like touring bands get paid as much as they possibly can with the little amount that place brings in. There used to be a place called Cafe Kerouac. It's still there, but it doesn't seem like people book shows as much there. But
we used to play there a lot,
like when we were in high school, and that was very much a place that was like, you have to do everything, but there is a PA system here, and was all ages. And I feel like that was a very formative place for us playing shows separately.
Yeah, but sometimes together, not in the same band.
Yeah.
But, we definitely played a lot there.
Yeah, that brings up a good point. Yeah, how did you guys get started? What are your sort of backgrounds in playing music? And what you were in bands before this? And how did this sort of all come to form?
First.
Yeah, I was in a band in high school called Cherry Chrome, where I was the front person and like played guitar and sang, and I started playing shows about, I guess, 10 years ago. I was like 15, started playing. My dad was our drummer, and we played pretty extensively. Never did much like out of town, but none of us could drive also because we were really young, so it was kind of other than my dad, so it was kind of like a local thing. But I was in that band for 5 or 6 years, and then Mickey and I, we're married now, but we started dating our senior year of high school and then started playing music together, I don't know, maybe a year or two after that. So I think Golomb kind of started in, I would say, like 2017 or 18. We started probably 2018. We started playing mostly, and we had a different drummer, and then we played for like a year or two, and then we, Mickey and I moved to California, right, like at the end of 2019, and then
where in California? We
lived in LA, like right in the heart of it, just east of downtown, and we played a little bit.
Fun.
It was fun. It was an interesting situation. But we played a little. We tried to play while we were there, but we just didn't. We couldn't find a drummer, and then
I was like making drum tracks on my GarageBand, and I had like a little sampler for a little bit, and then
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then cool. I guess I also started playing music in high school and just played in a good handful of bands in high school. And then we started playing together, and then we had like played some shows with a friend and kind of had some stuff written, and then we moved to California, and we weren't playing shows or really doing anything musical other than like playing. Oftentimes, like, not even through an amp, just, like, electric guitar, like, on our couch or whatever, and I wrote a lot of the songs on our first record there, and they didn't really come to life until we moved back because of the pandemic, and
so that was, like, end of 2019 that we moved, and then we had to come back in March of 2020.
And we were staying at Xenia's family's house, and her younger brother, who on a whim drove to Pittsburgh last night, so he's not here with us. But his name's Hawken, and Xenia's, both of our households were very musical in different ways, but very much so. Xenia and Hawken's parents played in bands and stuff and listened to tons of music.
So we had all the stuff, basically. When we moved back, we... Keith Hanlon, who recorded both of our first record and our EP that we just put out, I recorded with him with Cherry Chrome, and he reached out to me. He had just opened his own studio, and he was like, "Hey, I'm teaching this analog recording class. Like, I need a band. do you have a band? And I was like, oh yeah, I can, yeah, like we'll figure it out. And so we didn't have a drummer, and so we were basically like,
we had reached out to our old drummer. It was like, hey, do you want to keep doing this at all? And he was like, no.
Yeah, so we basically were like, Hawken, you have to play. Like my brother Hawken had played. He had played drums previously, but he was still in high school at that point. I think he was like 17.
And he had played, but not really like any, like played sort of one-off kind of things.
And played, yeah, like his friend would come over and they would like play all the Nirvana songs in the basement. And like, so he had some experience, you know, he had some experience, but we were basically like, you have to be our drummer now. Like we're stuck in this house. You know, we're like,
the world is ending.
So like, you're our best shot. And so that's when he started playing with us. So we did that recording session, and then we kind of just like kept moving from there. It was going well, and Hawken.
But it was very much so because we were like, we happened to all be in the same house during quarantine, which was their family's house, which already had all the shit, already had a kit and PA system set up in their basement. So it was kind of like, oh, like, you guys want to play? And then we were very enticed by the free recording thing, and it went well. And then it was kind of like, oh, let's just like, what are you guys doing today? Oh, not shit. Like, let's go downstairs.
Yeah, we didn't have anything else to do.
Play some music, pretty much.
And then that was, I guess like about 4 years ago. I think it was in the summer of 2020 that we did that. And Hawken, you know, he had not really had as much experience being in bands, even close to what we had, but he's also 4 years younger than us. And, so then he kind of just started picking things up really quickly. And I kind of feel like we put him through boot camp. Learning Heaven. This is his first time like playing in a funny time signature, and we like really put him through boot camp on that, and then he like got it from there. So.
But it was pretty cool to play in a band. Not that, I mean, our sort of style and the way we're sounding is sort of, it's always a developing thing, but to have someone who sort of had an extensive musical language or whatever kind of already instilled in him by growing up listening to like Willie Nelson and like Alice Coltrane and stuff, and like pretty much everything in between, for him to sort of be able to kind of develop his playing like through our songs, I feel like really kind of made something interesting happen. At least I think so. I feel like it very much would be a different sounding thing and not as interesting if we had a drummer who would already knew how to play. Not that Hawken didn't know how to play, but he
had like foundations, but he didn't.
Yeah, but he very much like was able to kind of apply what he had been listening to his whole life, and then to these songs that we had written, and he really just sort of developed his style within the songs as opposed to playing along to like Led Zeppelin albums or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like
sort of a blank slate coming out.
Yeah, I feel like it really
keeps trying to put John Bonham fills into
exactly. There's no John Bonham.
Don't do it. Don't do this.
Yeah. To kind of expand on what you're saying too, I think it especially made for like an interesting configuration, because Hawken and I, like being siblings, have the same musical foundation, but Mickey and I have a lot more similar like current taste or like influences. So we kind of, we're able to like take these, like a lot of the times, it's so funny actually, like sometimes, Mickey and I will try to show Hawken something that he hasn't heard, and we're like, dude, this is the thing that we're like trying to do. And he's like, oh yeah, I've never heard this before.
And sometimes it's something like a little bit more obscure or something, and then sometimes it's like, I can't think of an example right now, but it'll be, or he won't know who someone is who like anyone else. And
I feel like I showed him, I feel like at least especially in the beginning, we were pulling Sonic Youth was running through our veins quite a bit, and we like played it for him, and he was like, "This is scary." Like, I don't know.
just anyone else in his position would be like, "Oh yeah, obviously," and he's like, I don't know, and I don't necessarily care.
He's like, did you hear the new Playboy Cardi track? Like, what's up?
Yeah.
But I think that's what gives it. I think that's what gives your music such a fresh sort of take too. You know what I mean? That it doesn't feel like a band aping other bands. You know what I mean? Or like we're trying to sound like that. I think having those kind of off moments. Obviously, the songs aren't. They're well written and well performed. But there is something that makes sense. There's something about the drummer kind of being outside or parallel to that that I think kind of prevents. He's not putting maracas on ride cymbals. Like a kind of trope, like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I should do it this way. It's like, well, don't do exactly that. I could imagine that conversation especially with a younger brother. Like, so you want me to sound like this? Well, do this, but not exactly this. But don't do it, but don't do it. And like, well, what do you want me to do? It's like, so that's great. He has his own sort of style and sort of brings something else into the band. I know I'm trying to think of, it's funny when I was first reading and I was like, okay, so wait, sister, brother, husband, wife. I was like, okay, hold on. I'm doing the relationship math here in my brain. It's like, okay, who's who in the band? I was looking at the picture and without knowing anything, I'm like, okay, I think I can figure this one out.
Hawken and I are the ones with the same face and then it looks different from us.
Well, yeah, I'm sure, it's like, it's everything the White Stripes said they were.
But we're actually things.
Yeah. You never knew if the White Stripes were they sisters and brothers and husband and wife.
Our new band.
Everything the White Stripes said they were. We're gonna be like, what?
It's the mythology of the White Stripes, but in reality,
it's the reality and the mythology.
That's hilarious.
It's so cool. Yeah, I love the record. And how has it been? So the first record you recorded as an audio demo, or for the analog class, and then how did you guys record this record?
So actually, the first record was after we just recorded a song for that analog class, and then we were like, let's that was awesome. Let's try and record a whole out. Like I wrote all these songs. And we were learning them, and then it's like, let's try and record the whole album analog, and that is really hard to do.
Yes,
and
for a number of reasons.
Forever.
And it took a long time, and I think we're happy with how it turned out. But I think like we've since we recorded this new thing digitally, and
so
just
easy.
The freedom and the freedom it allows you, and I feel like. I don't know. After a while, I realized that the amount of people who actually give a shit about whether this was recorded to tape, and then the people who are actually going to be able to even tell, is so minuscule to the amount of work and quality of sound you can achieve with a computer. And also there's I think my favorite sound that was recorded on that first thing is a $20 Squire amp.
Yeah.
That I was like, okay, we're taking all this time and effort to try and record and mix. We mixed the whole thing analog too. Didn't have it touch a computer once really, but then at the end of the day it gets mastered on the computer or whatever. It's just okay, this seems so silly, and
everyone's listening to it out of their iPhone speakers.
And it's all right, let's record some songs on a computer and see how. So we still did it with Keith, but it just made it so much faster and was able to I felt like if I had an idea or someone had an idea, it's just oh, let's just try it. If it doesn't work, it's fine.
We recorded 4 tracks of feedback on one song. We're just let's just put another one. We were recording to 8-track tape, so it was limited. We had to be really conscientious about where we were putting stuff, and it was a great experience. I mean, I feel like I learned a ton about all kinds of things, but it definitely was really refreshing to go back in and do digital recording, and especially going from recording a full album to recording 3 songs was. It just felt like we got it done in an instant. It was really nice to complete something, and then we sat on it for quite a while before we put it out. But we did. It was done I don't know. I think we started it in February of last year, and it was done by June or July.
Mixed and everything,
something like that. Whereas the album took felt 2 years.
Yeah,
it was over the course of quite a long time.
But
it's hard too, when you don't have a ton of cash, and you know what I mean, because you kind of have to do it in between things, and when you have the time to do it, and it's not like you can just go in for 2 weeks straight and just do nothing but 12-hour days in the studio. It's like you have to break it up, I imagine. Do you know what when you say analog, like what were you recording? Do you know the tape machine you were recording on? Was it a big reel-to-reel thing?
It was
a reel-to-reel, and it was like I think it was like I want to say it was like 1/2-inch tape, if that's the real thing, right? And then,
of course, yeah.
I don't know what the machine was.
Oh, it's okay. I've been going down a tape rabbit hole, and everything I find just keeps telling me like this is a money hole. Like, do you know what I mean? I record a lot of my own stuff. I have like a kind of small studio here that I run, and I got the opportunity to record this band Lifeguard. I helped make their record, and we did it on a 1-inch tape machine, all the drums and scratch stuff. And anyway, it was really fun. It sounded great, and I was like, "Ooh, okay, maybe I want to get one of those." And everywhere I turn, I'm just like, "Oh God!" I had a good friend in Portland, say like, "Okay, well, I'm selling this one. It's a 2-inch tape machine." He's like, "What's great is we actually have 2 of them." He's like, "Because you're always going to need one for parts to fix the one that works. So you can't just buy one tape machine. You have to buy 2."
Ours definitely broke halfway through the recording. Like it was like for a while there, we were kind of just like waiting on the tape machine to come back from the shop. And
I think it's super cool, and I do think it like sounds awesome. But I also, at least where we're at and what we're trying to do, like I think it the facade of it, I realized that's what it, at least to me, that's what it was. And I love being able to think of trying something and then trying it, and very much so that's what was going on when we recorded the EP, and I think it produced something that I feel much more proud of. Not more proud of, but like in 5 years, I feel like it's 10 years, it's still going to sound the way that I feel good about.
It's great. Yeah, I think there's something about tape that almost is like it's transcended whatever its first idea. The idea of being kind of like Spartan or sort of like, like down to earth, blue collar, like I recorded on tape. This is real. It's like from the dirt. And now it's almost because of the rarity of it and how hard it is to keep these machines going. It's like that's almost the more like egalitarian, or it's the more like upper crust. Only the richest people can afford to record the tape. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to be very privileged to be able to say I recorded on tape because of the amount of time and money that it costs to do that. So the recording digitally is the much more kind of like proletariat. Like, hey, I can't afford to record the tape. Like you can't even afford, a reel of tape is like $500, and to maintain the machine is like $1,000 every other month.
Real DIY if you did it on your iPhone.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. Yeah. It's flipped around, and just the amount of digital and the cost of digital and the amount of products and that kind of prosumer level is so robust. So much you can do for so little that, you could do a whole album on GarageBand or, Logic, and it's
like for the most part, no one's going to tell. No one's going to be able to tell. I feel like, and like, I don't know.
But it's more, and I think it gets back to the content of the song rather than like the production technique of the song. I think as a story, it's a story that's been told so many times, but at the end of the day, the song has to be good. The performance has to be good. And the quality of whether it's this or that or the other thing, it's like you can make, I think digital's so robust that like whatever the idea of a cold digital recording, the reputation it got in the 90s when it first came out with low sample rates or whatever it was is like so far in the past.
I recently got one of those super reverb tone master things, like the digital call it
like a plugin.
What's up?
A plugin?
No. It's like a real 410 combo super reverb, but it's
like the digital replica.
It's like a solid state replica of a super reverb. But it sounds awesome. But everything I was reading up about it, I was trying to justify getting it for myself and trading in. Like, I had a Pro Reverb, like a 60s Fender Pro Reverb tube amp, and everything I was reading up about it was like, oh yeah, like it sounds really close, but next to my actual 1966 Super Reverb, when I play this Stevie Ray Vaughan lick, it doesn't sound quite the same. And I was like, well, that's good enough for me. Let me try it out, because I don't one have enough money for a real 1966 Super Reverb, but also I'm not playing these licks that I'm playing like big chords and stuff, and it sounds awesome, and it's just like no one ever knows that it's not that it's being powered by like a digital processor. And,
if anything, you're like, come pick it up.
Yeah,
like, see how light it is, and people are like, whoa, it's so light.
Yeah, and I think that was also sort of like that, but that was inspired by getting that was kind of inspired by making this recording, where it was like, oh yeah, like this sounds awesome and lush and sounds like it could have been recorded with tape, but it is, if I told you it was, you'd probably be like, wow, it sounds great.
Yeah. So warm.
Yeah.
I think it really just gets down to the thing too of like, being in a band in 2024, 2025, this world is like, money's tight and it's hard, and it's you're really doing it yourself, and it's like you have to use the tools that are available to you at the time. Like that was the whole thing with like Sonic Youth and the bands, from the 80s. All of these 60s Fender things were at pawn shops, and they were $100. The reason they had all those guitars is because they were considered pieces of crap and nobody wanted them, and so they used what was cheap and available at the time. And then their popularity rose, they became fetishized, and like, ooh, so now I'm going to pay $1,000 to get this $100 guitar look. You know what I mean? And the capitalism kind of perverts the whole thing, and you're all turned around to like buying, $800 ripped jeans or something to look like, somebody who got them out of the thrift store. So I think it's the same sort of, I think fashion and music gear go hand in hand more than the gear fans want to acknowledge, just the amount of fashion that's involved in this thing, of what's cool or the anti-cool or the this thing or the that thing. But at the end of the day, bands don't make a shit ton of money, and you have to do it all yourself, and you're carrying it around. And if it's cheap and it's reliable and it works, I think that's the worst thing I hate is this, like, you have to adhere to the old school. It has to be this one way only. And then it just costs so much money, to be so dedicated to antique technology, you know what I mean? And there's only, again, it gets back to that thing. It's like, there's a few rich people, Joe Bonamassa, or these rich blues lawyers and dentists out there who can afford all of this antique equipment, and they're going to preserve it in some kind of way. But the rest of us just kind of need
It's good to remember all those folks are just going to blues jams.
Absolutely. Yeah. The most pentatonic scales you could ever hear.
Yeah.
We played the most expensive equipment of antique stuff. But I think it's not lost on them too. I mean, they have that money and they can afford to do that. That's their prerogative. But I just think it's unfair to kind of still put that on younger bands and be like, oh, you didn't record the most expensive old way of doing things, and your equipment doesn't break down every night on stage. Like, that's not cool.
Yeah. Oh my God, we went through that a lot with those when you were using. We've had many a tube just like go out middle of song and like.
They love. But
I use an 80 solid state, so I never have any problems.
Well, that's the thing, right? Yeah,
doing great.
Yeah, the bass players can get away with so much more. I feel like it's like, oh, I don't even have a cabinet. I'm just going directly to the PA. Like this box back there doesn't even do anything.
Like 12 to 16 inches in square. It's very small, and like I can lift it myself, and that's all like really matters to me.
Yeah,
and I like.
Oh, it's amazing.
We're a band of practicality.
We are.
I think it's smart. I think it's a smart way to do it.
Our luxury comes in like on like chocolate croissants and things. Like when we go on tour,
chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, literally. When we go on tour, we end up like we're basically just like, okay, we're on vacation. Like we're gonna, get this fancy ramen, and we're gonna, get as many chocolate chip cookies as stuff.
It's like you can do a foodie tour. Yeah, I think you have to enjoy it.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so.
Hotel room or ramen.
Yeah, it's usually like sleep on someone's couch and eat a $18 bowl of ramen.
or a Motel 6 and
like a PB&J.
French fries.
That's great. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, you can pick one or the other. That's incredible. So what's coming up next for you? Where do things go from here? Is there a tour coming? Is there more recordings?
On
the horizon.
I was trying to book. I do all the booking for us, and it's really a pain in the butt, and it never is as successful as I want it to be. So we're playing, but the next few weeks, we're playing at Nelsonville Music Festival. The end of this week, we're playing like their campground stage, which is going to be really fun. And then we're playing in Chicago this weekend at a place called the BROADWAY. Or no, that's in New York. We're playing at a place called Subterranean in Chicago.
Oh, we played there. It
cool.
Sucks.
Awesome.
Oh, really?
Cool.
I don't know if I can say how badly I can shit talk it. Well, it's good you have light amps and light gear.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stairs.
Cool.
Oh, is it upstairs or down? Oh, it's probably downstairs because
it's all stairs. There is no flat area.
It's been there a long time. You're right.
So for the word subterranean to be in the word is very misleading because it's way above the terrain.
That's hilarious.
It's subterranean.
It's been there a while, right? No.
Oh, I get the sense it is. Yeah. So it's like a shit ton of stairs going up, and then you play on a stage, and then there's a balcony like kind of around the whole thing too. So people are above you. So that's what I'm saying. It's like it's like feels like it's stacked on stacked on stacked.
Wow.
Yeah, that'll be funny.
I'm sure your show will be great.
And we're playing with a cool band from Vermont called Greg.
Oh, cool.
Band. They're really cool. And then we're playing just Philly and New York in August.
Cool. We're playing in Philly.
A place called FOTO Club.
Ooh, that sounds fun. We played at batting cages there a couple years back. It was really fun. And then at the end of the show, we like posed with like the baseball bats, and then they make little like cards, like baseball cards of the bands. And I think Kelly Deal's band, not the Breeders, but it was like the Kelly Deal solo band. She had played there, and it was really fun to see her card up there.
That's really cool.
Anyway,
yeah, we've liked Philly when we played there 2 times before, maybe 3. No, I can't remember. Twice. I think
twice.
Yeah, but it's just been right? The bands are cool, and it's like it's a fun city. I had never been there before playing.
Cool.
Maybe 2 years.
It's good food. It's a good food.
Yeah.
city.
Oh my god, best pizza. We had OG's Pizza in Philly.
And then we're playing at a place called the BROADWAY in New York with some cool bands. That'll be our fourth time playing in New York, and every show we've played there has been pretty rough. So
last time it was like slightly better. The first 2 shows were like,
but that seems like a hard place to get a good show. But I'm feeling fairly confident about this one. But yeah, it's really hard to book a tour by yourself.
Yeah, I know. We've done it all different ways with No Age. We've booked stuff ourselves. We've had booking agents. We've had friends, and I remember those early New York shows too. It just feels like you just have to keep going.
Yeah,
you just have to.
Which at this point, it's like I feel like putting this EP out was like kind of did what I had been hoping, or like kind of hoped it was going to, which I feel like we felt really confident about those recordings, and it kind of was like a good, like, putting it out there, like, here's what we can do type of thing. And I'm hoping that we're gonna, I think, start recording a new thing probably this fall. And kind of spend the fall, winter, like, hibernation mode and try and bust out an album. And hopefully by next summer, like, find someone to help us put that out, book us.
Yeah. Have you just been self-releasing these first 2?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And it's cool. I feel like it's
satisfying.
It's satisfying.
When people listen to it.
Yeah.
And, it feels good.
It would be nice to have like not even more resources like financially to like, I feel like we all work and like are willing to like invest in this project, and like I think we just want to like travel and play music.
It'd be nice to have an easier way to book those shows that are out of town, like we would, I think we would
and I
do
think
it
that's
kind of
that's like our main goal at the moment is like,
so you can feel more confident sinking the money in, knowing that the money's going to be there if you can make it to LA.
And we just like traveling and meeting weird people and like seeing new places, and
it's the best.
It's awesome. And trying.
Even when it's bad, it's still good.
Yeah, that's. I feel like
So far, we haven't had like an absolutely awful, like full experience. Like we haven't slept anywhere with like cockroaches or anything.
No,
it's honestly been kind of like we've kind of lucked out every time, especially like when I don't know. It's one of those funny things where you're like, when you're in a band, you're so used to the idea of like sleeping at a person's house that you don't really know. Like that's just kind of normal to us at this point. And I think, maybe if I was by myself, I wouldn't feel so normal about it. But like,
forget who I was.
The three of us together were just like, yeah, okay, whatever. And
it also is nice because like we've known each other for a very long time.
Yeah.
And obviously Hawken
also we're since he was born. So,
yeah. So we're pretty easy to travel, the three of us, and kind of like we can be very honest with one another. Hold it down, whatever situation we're in. But also that I forget who I was talking to. I think it was one of your family members, but I was like explaining like going to play a show out of town, and I was like, oh, like like you go to, it's a weird way to like spend your time. You like go to a bar in the middle of the day and it's dark in there, and you're in there.
It's a weird bar,
and sometimes it's a weird bar, and you're in there for like 6 hours, and sometimes you don't really play to anyone, and then afterwards you like don't get paid that much, and you go kind of stay at like a stranger's house, so you don't really know, and you don't really know what that's going to be like.
But usually it's okay.
And I was like, wow, I'm like saying all this out loud. Like, this sounds really horrible, but it is very magical.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, it's such a weird, that's kind of like normal to us at this point. But like most people never go sleep at someone's house who they just met that night.
Yeah. And for
that reason, under that circumstance, most people are not doing that.
But it's like, it's like if you tried to explain what it's like for a band in the early stages of trying to get it together, it sounds really cuckoo.
And then we drive for 7 hours, and the next day we drive for 7 hours again, and like.
But that's like kind of what we want to do really bad, is like
living the dream. Well, now's the time to do it. You know what I mean? This is the right age and the right place to be, and the time to do it, and just put all that investment into it. That, you know what I mean? That's the one thing you have, is you have your time and energy.
You guys,
just speaking as somebody, I'm in my 40s now.
I was about to say, how long have you guys have been playing a good while? Right?
Yeah, No Age started in 2000, or our first record came out in 2007.
Yeah.
So, but I think we started
this 20 years
band. I think our first record's coming up on 20 years. So there was, it's been a long time. And then Dean and I were in a band before that. We had a band that was like a 3-piece, and Dean played bass and sang, and I played guitar. So
it seemed like that.
So we started in 2000 or 2001. So it's been over 20 years we've known each other. And
seems like the mid 2000s was a cool time to be playing.
Was it cool? You're laughing like maybe it wasn't cool.
Yeah. Well, no, I think it's just dawning on me, that thing of like, I remember thinking, well, but no, it was the 90s that were the cool time.
Yeah.
2000s, that wasn't it. I was there. It wasn't anything. No, but it was super fun. I mean, everything in hindsight, but just like you're saying, you know what I mean? It's all of those rough times. We were telling stories about sleeping at people's houses. I was remembering our first time on tour in the UK. We stayed at someone's house. I think this was in Birmingham. We played a show, and it wasn't great, but it was what it was. It was fine. We're excited to be on tour. And then the promoter woman was like, "Oh yeah, you're going to go home with this guy." And it was like the drunkest guy at the show. Like, you're going to stay at his place. We're like, oh, okay. But we didn't drive because it was on the wrong side of the road, or the other side. And so we had our friend who put out our record there in England. He was driving us around in this really tiny little like van that we rented, and so it was all three of us sitting. He was driving, then Dean and I in the front seat of this like all-in-one bench seat, and then anyway. Oh, so this guy squeezed in. So the drunk guy, so it was like the four of us all together, and he's so drunk he doesn't remember where he lived. So he's like telling directions, but they're too late. So then our friend's trying to drive around and swerving and everything. So it looks like then a cop pulled us over.
Oh my God.
Like, what's going on, mate? And then our friend who's English was trying to explain, like, we're trying to get to his house. We're not from here. and he's so drunk that he doesn't know where he lives. So we're trying. So the guy, and the cop is just yelling at the guy like, "Where do you live? Where'd he go?" They're like, "You can't be driving like this. Where do you live? What's your address?" He doesn't remember. And so somehow we finally get to this guy's house. The guy didn't give us a ticket because he understood the situation. Like, he's a sober driver. There's a very drunk person giving directions.
Yeah.
And then we finally get to this guy's flat, his apartment or his house, condo thing. And we're all just like, all right, just sleep on the floor. Let's go. And he just passes out immediately. As soon as he gets through the door, he just falls asleep on his floor, and we all sleep on the living room floor. And then his roommate comes home like maybe 3 hours later and yells at all of us like, "What are y'all doing here? You can't be here." And tries to say that we stole money from something, and it kicks us all out. Like the roommate comes home and doesn't, this drunk guy, he can't let people just live, you're a bunch of strangers staying here. And so then we all have to we've only slept, maybe for like 2 hours, and then we all get kicked out and then go back in the van and drive to the next town, which is only like, an hour away. And we knock on that promoter's door, like the show we're playing that next night. And we just, it's 4 a.m, and we're just like, "Hey, can we come stay with you? We're not playing till tomorrow night, or till this next night, but we need to see." And he was still up. He was a very excitable promoter. He was still up from that night's party or club or whatever he was doing. So he was having a big coked out party at his place. So we show up at 4 a.m, and he's just like, "Yeah, cool. Come on in. We're partying." We're like, "No, we need to sleep. We're so exhausted." So we have to go crawl under a table somewhere in the kitchen and try to sleep while all these like people are raving. So we were like, I forget what the next town was, but anyway, it was hilarious, but it was great. But again, those are those experiences. You're just like, we didn't really need to sleep that night. It was fine.
Yeah. And those are the types of things that no one else will get to experience. It's like such a specific thing. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, it's hilarious, and it's that slightly dangerous, slightly confusing, like you just keep, just running face first into every obstacle there is, and go, "Oh, okay, I should duck. I should not make every mistake every time." You try to remember that for the next time, and just bad suitcases that fall apart, and you're running through train stations and trying to. It's like, why didn't I get wheels on this thing? Why did I get the cheapest one there was? I saved $5 and these wheels just cracked as soon as we landed somewhere, but again, those are all those fun moments you wouldn't have known otherwise. I think it's worth doing, and now's the time to do it. So I think you guys are doing the right thing. Obviously you're writing great music and everything sounds awesome. You're doing
Thanks.
It's exciting. I'm excited for you. Yeah. When Joe sent me the record, I was just like, guys are awesome. Like, why isn't this the biggest band in the world? I think is what I was feeling. So hopefully it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, I think it's because we're
not. Okay.
Right. We know we could be the biggest band.
You know what it would take, yeah. Do you know any choreographers? Can you come up with a dance?
Yeah.
We need like a dance. Get everyone on TikTok.
As you write the songs, you should have a dance in mind for each song as you write it.
That's actually a really great marketing plan. I think we probably all need to get TikTok first to familiarize ourselves with the no, it's too late.
The idea of TikTok is enough. Just think about what you think TikTok is. And
I think they're just like crossing their arms and doing little.
That sounds right.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll be fine. We'll get $1 million tomorrow.
I think that's the way everybody's doing it. Is you come up with a dance first, and then write the song that goes with the dance. Inspired this way or going to inspire that way. It's worth a shot. I mean, hey, what do I know? I mean, I've never.
The summer's still young. We could have the song of the summer.
The song of the summer.
And the TikTok dance.
Hey man, it's all whatever works. I know it's always so funny whenever we talk to label people or anybody. It's just like, what's happened? Like, what's going on? And you're just as people get older, like nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah,
it's like no one's buying music anyway, so it's not even like a thing. Like, are we going to sell more records of this? And they're like, I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe not. Like everyone's just trying to do something. So I like that's the fun part. I think I love about this sort of dystopian era of music is it's like it's a relatively even playing field in that like people you can really self-release stuff, you can get it out there, and whatever feels right or whatever seems like the way to do it, whatever your heart or your gut tells you, is probably the right way to do it. You know what I mean? It's not like there's a cookie cutter formula really to follow at this
We were
point
just
because
talking
anything could
about
work.
that.
Yeah.
That it. Yeah, and trying to think of. We were just talking about the future of us being married and everything, and
Yeah.
what
We're
that
staying married.
we're staying married. I guess I'm insinuating what that
Future of
means.
staying married.
Yes, I'm sort of allowing you to assume what the conversation was we were having, but the
we're not getting divorced.
just that like, what does that look like with our age, and then like moving forward as a band, and then trying to sort of establish like a foundation of our band in a way that it would allow us, for the next whatever decade or whatever, to sort of be creative and like have this be an avenue to make music and sort of have it be established. And just that, now is kind of, in a way, like there's a freedom in it to sort of do whatever you want, as long as you're making really good things. And if you have some sort of fan base that you can kind of establish in the right moment for you personally, that you kind of have this sort of wiggle room to do whatever you want. There's a band called now they're called Mystic 100s.
I love the Milk
Yeah,
Music. And then
yeah. They were probably around.
They're in LA now.
Yeah.
Great.
But just that, they made 2 fantastic albums like a decade ago, and didn't do anything, did a bunch of other stuff, and they just put a record out under a new name, but like people still cared because like they did this thing, whatever they did, they put the work in.
Music.
I think the first one came out like 2009 maybe or something.
That's like 15 more now.
And maybe maybe Mystic 100s came out in like 2012 or.
That sounds right. 12 or 11.
There may have been a bigger gap in between. Actually, I'm thinking,
I was say 2015 or something.
Yeah,
maybe,
but that's what I'm kind of saying, is that like they're just doing it however they want, but because they sort of put the work in back in the day, like that's what they earned. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think that's kind of where what I, at least, and I think Xenia too, and what we're trying to figure out, like, how do you even earn that? Like, what is the route for doing that? And I think that's kind of like almost our goal at the moment, is like sort of like getting to that point, like where it's like, okay,
our music can occupy like a stable place in our lives,
but not be what we depend on.
Where it's something that we can continually do and continually make work, no matter what other things we have going on.
Yeah, and whether it take a year to write an album or 10 years, like people will still care about it when it does come around, and like come see us play. I think I was using them as a really great example. Like they made these killer albums a while ago, and it's like, dang. I
feel like it's the thing too. More and more people find out about it, and more people listen to it.
Totally. Like I didn't.
It was like they put it out, and then people missed it, and it's like, no, everyone's discovered. They're definitely one of those bands I think people continue to discover.
Yeah, I mean, especially for me, like
5 or 6 years ago, through kind of a funny route too.
I met Alex through friends who I was like selling shirts at those Dead and Company shows, and that was like how I met Alex.
But you had bought a shirt from him, right?
But I had, I knew him through his art prior, which is so, that's how wild Instagram is, and how you never know.
But you liked his art and you liked his band and didn't realize that it was the same person. I remember for like a minute, and then you were like, "Oh, that's the Warren Spiral guy."
So funny.
But
that's amazing.
Definitely like super inspired by like, I mean, it's not, I wouldn't call it like a career path, but sort of their trajectory of like what's the word? Trajectory. I'm gonna call it
like trajectory is a good word. Yeah,
it's like a projected trajectory. It's like this is what we're trying to do, so it's a projected.
But I find like that super inspiring. It's like they're just like,
man.
That's what I would like to sort of accomplish.
Yeah.
I love it. It's doable. That's a very doable goal. I think it's writing good songs, and you guys are doing that.
Yeah.
Writing good songs and making good albums. And that's the stuff that stands the test of the time. It's not all about, as much as fun as it would be just to be a choreographer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not TikTok
dances people discover in 10 years. Like, that was it. Or AI, artwork.
Or just sell out theaters every tour or whatever. Like, I'm cool with playing Subterranean and having people actually show up.
If we could just play the Ace of Cups of like another city every once in a while, I would feel pretty satisfied.
Yeah.
It's very attainable goals. I think that's a good way to start, is to have things that are like, I could do this.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It feels realistic, and not like, we're definitely not trying to go for the stadium rock trajectory.
Although I am growing my hair out just in case.
Just in case.
Okay, good.
He got his
You'll be ready
the other day, so he could be ready for the stadium rock.
I'm manifesting with rock and roll.
I don't really know what I'm doing to prepare for that.
Just hold on. Just
hold on. I'm just waiting. I'm just holding out. I don't have my like glam rock thing on right now. I usually put that on, but I'm on vacation.
The war paint. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
Like super crazy. Like,
oh my
bedazzled outfit is at home.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your vacation to jump on. I really appreciate it. Where can people follow you and find out more? Where do you like people to find out about what you're doing?
We are most active probably on Instagram at Golomb. Golomb spelled Golomb. Mm-hmm. And we are on Spotify. We're on Apple Music. We're on Bandcamp.
We got lots more stuff on Bandcamp than
there's some kind of deep cut, like older stuff and some live stuff on Bandcamp too. And but all of that I believe is accessible through our Instagram. Yeah, I think
there's link in the bio.
Yeah, we should have link in bio, so check for that. That'll get you somewhere.
And when do you, how far out, or like when do you put these out usually?
Whenever, if you want this to come out with the tour, to help promote the tour, we could do it then.
Our 2-date tour is August 10th and 11th.
Yes, so. If you're in the cities of Nelsonville, Ohio, Chicago, Illinois. That'll probably be past, but in
I'm just gonna
New York or Philly. Yeah,
August 10th will be in Philly at FOTO Club, and August 11th will be at the Broadway in New York City.
And August 12th will be at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, looking at the ancient Egyptian collection. That's what I'll be doing.
I'm gonna go.
Mickey might do something else. I'll be checking out the tropic jars and
I'll be rock climbing in Central Park.
Yeah, that's what we'll be up to on the 12th.
Awesome. Okay, we'll have it up. I'm sure this will be around that time. We'll get it up in early August. And
amazing.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
I'll holler at you if we play in LA next year or something.
Please. Yeah. Let me know. Maybe we can play. I have a solo project and a solo band and all this other fun stuff.
Cool. Sounds awesome.
Never stopping. Sweet. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thanks, Randy.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Thanks for having us.
Yes, there they are. Golomb, Mickey and Xenia, thank you so much for taking time out of your vacation on Lake Erie to sit down and chat with me about Columbus, Ohio, and playing music and being married and having your little brother play drums in your band, even though he doesn't know what kind of music you're playing. But you can still be the big sister and tell him he's playing drums in your band. Everybody, go listen to Golomb, Golomb. Go to their Bandcamp page. It's Bandcamp. .com. Oh no, Golomb, Golomb .bandcamp.com. There we go. Instagram, they are Golomb. This is their name of their band 3 times. And go see them. Philadelphia. I'm talking to you. You're in Philadelphia. 810 at FOTO Club. New York City. Looking your way too. I know what you're doing. Put down your slice of pizza. Go see Golomb. They're playing on 8/11 at the Broadway. You know you want to go see them. What else are you going to do? You're going to support live music. Go support new independent music. People making loud noises with their friends. It's the thing to do. You want to do it. It's fun. It's the right thing. What was, now I'm just doing all my old commercial things. What did he say? Diabetes. It's the right thing to do.
Most people never go sleep at someone's house who they just met that night.
Yeah.